So you're trying to choose a planner, eh? And you don't know what to choose? Well, I'll try today to explain the different planners and help you make a choice without basically saying it depends, but let me do my best. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I know 2022 is just around the corner, so some of us might be trying to decide what type of planner we want to start with in 2022. I say start with because you'll probably want to change planners, let's be real. Okay, so I've broken down the planners into, I guess, 4 different types, and we'll just kind of go through each of them. I'll tell you my experiences, kind of the pros and cons, and what I think each of these are good for. And from there, hopefully that will help you guys to choose what planner you guys should use. So there's basically, I would say, 4 main types of planners, excluding digital planners. So I'm not talking about digital planning here. So yeah, if that's what you're looking for, then this probably isn't the right video. But for paper type planners, the 4 I would say are your disc-bound planners, your bound notebooks, your ring-bound planners, and your traveler's notebooks. So I'll go through kind of my experience with each of these, and I'll put a timestamp down below in the description if you want to jump to a specific set, if you've kind of already tried the other ones or you know that's the type you want to go with. Just go down to the description and jump right to where you want to see in terms of the types of planners that you're looking at. But if you would like to see an overview of everything, then just keep on watching. And I think we'll start with maybe the bound notebooks, just because they're the most simple, and we'll get these kind of out of the way. So with our bound notebooks, I would say the most common one that you guys have probably heard of is the bullet journal. The bullet journal is really more of a method than the actual planner itself, because bullet journals are really just done in a dot grid notebook. And if you guys are interested in, you know, the bullet journal system and the actual method, then I'll link the video up here that I did kind of talking about that. But in general, very high level speaking, it's basically taking this blank notebook and you're just creating the spreads that you need. So for example, if you want to plan weekly or daily, then you would draw your weekly spread out. So however you want to have that, whether it's, you know, a vertical Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or horizontal Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right? Just depends on whatever you want. It's a blank canvas. You draw whatever you want or write whatever you want. You don't have to draw anything. It's however you want to plan. To give you a quick example, so when I first started kind of thing, I just did a simple, you know, 4 quadrants, and I just did Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then that was like a weekly overview. Or I did, if you wanted to do monthlies, you could draw out a monthly like this, or even just write it down kind of in a list form. But basically the concept is that you know, create what you want for your planner. Now, the pros and cons of this, I mean, I think are pretty obvious in that, you know, it's really easy to get one of these notebooks, very inexpensive. You don't have to get the Leuchtturm, I can't remember what the number, 19, 15, 19, whatever. You can just get an Amazon notebook. You can get any kind of notebook. You can literally like grab a notebook from the dollar store if you wanted to, right? It's just about creating your own spreads. You get to be very creative. It's really open-ended. It's whatever you want. And that's, I think, the really great thing about this system. It's so convenient in terms of getting your hands on it and creating it to suit your needs. You can draw on it. You can do whatever. Everything that you want. Those are all really good pros, I think, especially for somebody who has a lot of time, who's very creative. I think this is, you know, a perfect planner idea. Now, for those of us who are busier, who don't have a lot of time, who just want something that they can write in without having to set things up, this obviously is not the best option. And that was exactly what I found was, while I kind of enjoyed, like, you know, doing different spreads, adding different things in, I just found over time, like once I had kids especially, once I was at work, like it's just impossible to keep this up, and I just don't have the time to do the spreads. Also, another con of it is that because it's in a notebook, and this is, you know, with other types of planners, not necessarily just like this blank grid kind of notebook, is that it's a notebook, right? And all notebooks, you can't just remove the page if you don't want it. You can't reorganize things, although you can tab, you know, the various important pages. You can also use what they call threading in bullet journal, which is like if you're continuing on a spread on a different day, you can write in here like this page number, and then wherever you're going to continue to also write this number beside it. So you know that that's the next page that continues this. For me, my brain doesn't work that way, and I can't do it. Like, I want all of my categories together beside each other, and I want the ability to move things around should things change. For me, things change all the time, so that's what definitely didn't work for me. I think this is great for, you know, maybe more so for students, for people who aren't, you know, overly busy and have a lot going on. And yeah, so I think for somebody who's creative, for somebody who has a lot of time, this is perfect. Okay. And along with the notebooks, another one that's very popular, and it's really the same concept, is a Stalogy. And the Stalogys just have grid. Ooh, come on, focus. The Stalogys just have grid paper, and it's a very smooth, very high quality paper. This notebook is much more expensive than just like, you know, a regular notebook from Amazon, let's say. Like, you can get one of these on Amazon for $12 if you're not getting the Leuchtturm one. The Stalogys, I think, in Canada are around like $38 for this size. Yeah, but it's the same concept. Some people do bullet journaling. Some people just, you know, write dailies, like each page is one day for their planner. But really, you use it the same way. You can create whatever you want from these planners, and a lot of people love the Stalogy. If you guys follow Dakshina on YouTube here, I can link her channel down below, but she is all about the B6 Stalogy and is just like inspo for so many people, I feel like. And it's kind of nice to see at the end of the year, like this amazing, you know, bound book of all your thoughts throughout the year. But yeah, that's Stalogy. If you've heard that term, it's really just the type of notebook, okay? So those two I'd kind of categorize as the same type of thing. Again, these notebooks obviously come in various sizes. The Stalogy is pretty standard though. It's the A5 size, which is this size. This is the B6 size, which is one size smaller. And it also comes in one other size, which is the A6, and it's smaller than this. Okay, but for Stalogy, it's only really those three sizes. Whereas other types of notebooks, I mean, you can get big notebooks, small notebooks. The terms that you hear, like A5, B6, A6, those are sizes. So if you guys ever get confused, that's what that means. And yeah, so other notebooks, you have pretty standard. The actual Leuchtturm ones, I think, is A6, or sorry, A5. And I'm not too familiar with the other sizes. I'm pretty sure they have an A4, which is like basically letter size. Don't quote me on that. Okay. So those are the two basics. Then one that's very popular is obviously Hobonichi. And what's amazing about Hobonichis and why everybody really loves them is because of the type of paper that they have. So this type of paper is called Tomoe River paper. It's very, very thin, and it's kind of crinkly, very high quality paper. It's very fountain pen friendly for those of you guys who like to use fountain pens. It does have ghosting, which means that you can kind of see through on the other page the writing, but it doesn't bleed. So when you use fountain pens or markers or whatever, it doesn't go through the page, but you can see it on the other side. But with this type of planner, the difference from this to these is that the layouts are already created for you. And the Hobonichi has a few different types. So they have the Cousin, which is their biggest planner. It's A5 size. You'll recognize that the A5 size, the sizes are recurring because they're pretty standard. But the A5 size is typically the largest one. And so for the Cousin, for example, you would have your monthly layouts together, your weekly layouts, and then your daily. So it's already created for you. Hobonichi has the A5 size planners, the A6 size smaller planners, and they also have a Hobonichi Weeks, which is like a smaller, slim planner. And this only has the weeklies in here. So the layouts are a bit different between each of them. I'm not going to go into depth about, you know, the various Hobonichi comparisons. You can definitely search up lots of videos on that. But just as an overall high level understanding of what they are, people love them because of the paper quality. And yeah, that's mainly, I think, why. And the spreads are very functional. I have to admit that. The pages and the book also lay flat, which is key for some people because then you can write without it like whacking you. Yeah, so the good thing about this is the spreads are already created for you. So, you know, it has that pro of not having to rewrite or draw out your own spreads, which was like a con for those. So I really like that, but the opposing con to this one is that it's quite expensive. So again, comparison in Canadian dollars, a planner like this for just the paper planner is about $75, I think, here in Toronto. And something like this, the smaller one, is $40. Okay, but again, you are paying for the quality of the paper. Now, another benefit or pro of a bound book that I really like is that all your things are together, right? So I really like to memory plan in a notebook is what I found, because I like to have it all together, right? With it being bound, you have the con of not being able to move things around, which does suck. But when you're memory planning, you don't need to move things around, right? Like the memory happened on that day. So I love it for memory planning, this type of planner, and not so much for actual planning because I can't move things around. But again, if you are the type who is not fussy about moving things around, you're happy to tab things off, these are great planners. You just have the planner, like the full planner at the end of the year. You don't have to worry about like, you know, storing the pages and all that stuff. So these Hobonichis are great. I really, really love these. In terms of covers, because these sizes are pretty standard, they are relatively easy to find leather covers. Moterm is a great one. It's inexpensive, but great, relatively inexpensive, let's say, but great value. And they come in like the A5, the A6 sizes, B6. So there's lots of options for covers if you're looking for something for these. So for me, overall, I use notebooks for more so from a planning perspective, or just for scribbly notes that I don't care about, that I'm not going to move around. It's really just to jot down something quick. It's not for me for planning. For you though, if you like the system in a planner, you're not a type of person to move things around a lot or want to try different spreads or different layouts, and you just want to write things down, you're not fussed about all that, this is the planner for you, okay? A notebook. I really think this is a good option for you, one of these guys. All right, so those are the notebooks. So the next planner, guys, I'm going to talk about is the Traveler's Notebook. And so what the Traveler's Notebook is basically a series of notebooks on strings. So what the covers look like is literally just like a flap of leather with some strings in the middle, and what you do is you put the strings into the middle of each notebook. And you can get bigger or smaller Traveler's Notebooks if you get more strings. So if you get one that has more strings, then you'll obviously be able to fit more notebooks inside, or if you want a slimmer profile, then you just get one with less strings. So this is what I kind of moved into, I think, after the notebooks. I can't remember which one started first. I'm pretty sure I did notebooks first, and then I tried Traveler's Notebook. And the reason why I tried Traveler's Notebook was because I was thinking, hey, when I use notebooks, like, I don't like that I can't rip out the pages. Like, if I don't like something or if I want to move it around, like, I can't really do that. And I was thinking how I like my categories of things all together, right? And that was the good thing about Traveler's Notebook, is that you have a little bit more flexibility, but with that, like, kind of comfort of a notebook, if you guys know what I mean. So in a Traveler's Notebook, I could oh, don't know why it didn't focus. I could designate one as a planner, like notebook, because you can get notebooks that are, I don't have one here with me. Oh, do I? Yes, I do. You can get planner notebooks where it has, like this one, for example, is a monthly grid. You can get one for weekly or even one for dailies. And this cover is just from Moterm, and I think it actually comes with a few of these little notebooks anyways, but you can get these notebooks at a lot of places. Yeah, so that was nice about this is then, like, if I didn't want to, you know, put, say, my notes right behind my planning, I could designate one book as my planning book and another, say, for, you know, shopping lists. And then I could add another book and it could be for my kids or another book for my work. So it's much more versatile, right? And you can get these little pouch things with it, and you could put like your money in it, turn it into a wallet and all that. So again, with the pros for this really is there is a bit more versatility in that you can add the different notebooks. You can kind of move them around. The notebooks are generally much thinner, so you're not committed to a thick notebook like you were in, you know, those bound books, those bound planners. It's easier to, you know, if you screw up on something and you really hate it, to get rid of a small notebook than to get rid of your full notebook, right? I would say the con still, though, is if I am writing notes, for example, like it's still a notebook, right? If I write something here and then I decide to continue it like many pages down, I can't just take it out and move it back to the front of the notebook. And what else didn't I like about this? I think that was pretty much it. For me, it was mostly just the convenience of moving things around. Wasn't 100% there for me with the strings. But another huge pro, sorry I'm kind of flip-flopping back and forth, but another huge pro of the notebooks before as well as traveler's notebooks is that there's no rings or mechanisms here where when you're writing, something is like hitting your hand, right? Because they're both notebooks, it's just easy to write across. So no issues with that. And what else? That's pretty much it. The other thing is, if you are looking for custom inserts for these, I find they're not as common as, say, ring planners, where there are so many Etsy shops where you can buy printable inserts. So if you are looking for specific layouts, it is harder to find with Traveler's Notebook. Not to say that there's none, but there is less selection. Yeah, so I think those are the main things for Traveler's Notebooks. Again, with Traveler's Notebook, this is the passport size, but there are a whole bunch of sizes. The most common is a standard TN, and then you have the passport, which is smaller. The standard TN is like a bit longer. It's kind of like the Hobonichi Weeks, but a bit bigger. I don't want to dive into the specifics of each planner size because there are just so many. So once you decide on a system that you want to go with, you can then kind of dive into what size works for you. So that's that. There is a lot of versatility, though I just want to mention with the sizes the same way as the notebooks. Okay, so that's Traveler's Notebooks. So moving on to the next set of planners, we go to Discbound. So one of the most common Discbound planners that I am sure you have heard about is Happy Planners. So Happy Planner is sold mostly at Michael's, but I'm pretty sure they have it at Walmart as well. And basically with the Discbound planners, it's essentially as it sounds. It's just planner inserts on discs. So what's cool about it is you have the discs and then you just get your inserts, get the punch for it. I just have a Happy Planner punch. I'll link everything down in the description below if you are interested in any of these systems and the materials you need. Yeah, and you just punch the insert and then snap it in. So this, as you can see, is very versatile, right? And it's kind of similar in rings in the sense that you can easily move things around. With Happy Planner, it comes in the classic size, which is this one. It comes in one size bigger, which is the big Happy Planner, and that's basically like a US letter size, so 8.5 by 11. And they also have smaller size called the Mini Happy Planner, which is this size, okay? So with Discbound, of course, you can already see one of the major draws of Discbound planners for me was that it is very versatile. You can move things around wherever you want. You can, you know, create inserts. Well, I guess I create inserts because I own a shop, but there are so many inserts for Discbound systems, whether it's through Happy Planner or like online. I feel like there is more stuff for Discbound planners than traveler's notebooks, for example, because like the inserts is just one page, right? It's not like a whole notebook. It's also easier if you are, I guess I'm thinking about it from a perspective of you print your own inserts. So you buy printables and you can just print it and punch it yourself. Whereas with traveler's notebooks, if you want to create your own, like from printables, it's very hard because then you got to like punch the middle in terms of like, stapling the middle of that notebook, and it like doesn't line up, and it's just not as clean as an insert form. So that's what's nice about this. But one con of this, you know, it's kind of like the pro and the con to everything, is that you do kind of have like loose inserts. If, for example, you're done with a whole month of inserts, you want to get rid of it out of your planner, and then you basically have a bunch of loose inserts unless you then get more discs to be able to store those inserts. I would say that's one of the biggest cons probably of this and ring planners, is just the storage of the loose inserts after you're done. But of course, like, discs are not super expensive. I'll link some. These are cloth and paper ones, so they're a bit more expensive, but I can link some from like AliExpress or even on Amazon. You can get a whole bunch of these for like pretty inexpensive, I think, especially compared to covers, other covers like leather covers. And you can just store your planner inserts that way. Or I sometimes just keep old planner boxes and put the inserts in that box after for storage. But it's not as obviously as like nice and put together as like a bound notebook. And that's why I don't really use Discbound for memory keeping or ring planners, you know, to be honest, because I do like it just together and just to have one nice clean notebook at the end of the year. What else is benefit of discs? So another big benefit of discs is the fact that you don't really need a cover. Well, you don't, right? Like, your cover is essentially the two hard plastic front and back pieces, and you don't even have to have that, but like I would to protect your inserts, like most people would. And it's very inexpensive compared to, let's say, a leather cover. Of course, you don't have to have the leather covers, but if you want those for your other planners, they are more expensive. And for a ring planner, you have to have the rings, right? Like, you have to have rings. Whereas this, you don't also have, not even just the cost of the leather if you don't want it, but also just the bulkiness of it. This is much more portable. And that's what I really liked about this over, for example, the ring planners. But if you do want a leather cover, let's say, you can also get one, okay? So don't think that you can't get them. And next, probably my next video, I will show you a planner cover that is super versatile, especially for those of you who think that you are going to be switching between a bunch of different planners as you're trying them out. I'm going to show you a really good option, so make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you get notified of my next video. Yes, so then another con of the Discbound planner is similar to rings as well, is now you have something in the middle. So when you're writing, like when you're writing on this side, like it gets in the way, right? But of course, with the Discbound, the benefit of that is that at least you can flip it over on itself to do this, especially if it's not in a leather cover, so it's not as in the way, but it's not like a notebook where you can just write fully across if you wanted to, right? So that is a pain. Another thing that I've noticed that I don't like, and guys, sorry I'm kind of flip-flopping between everything. I will try to make lists hopefully somewhere on the screen if I can figure out how to do that, to try to track all the pros and cons so you guys can follow along. I'll give you a summary at the end. Another thing that I don't like about the rings sometimes is that, the discs, is that These are plastic discs, and while like once you fill it up, it's okay. It's not as smooth as like rings where the ring is in the middle and there's like a full hole, right? So it just like really easily glides over. This does stick a little. I have been told that metal discs are much better than plastic ones. So if you are looking into discs, I would suggest trying out the metal ones. But the reason why I didn't is because I like the look of the clear plastic, and you obviously just can't get a clear metal one. Okay. So I was in Mini HP for a really long time this year, and I really loved it just for it being so portable. I like that you can flip it on itself. I like that, you know, you can move the pages around just like a ring planner, and I could make my own tabs, add in a bunch of inserts, and it's not bulky. It was so easy to carry because I don't need the ring mechanisms and like the leather cover with it, right? So I really love that. And if you don't want to print stuff, there's a lot of shops where you can buy printed inserts, both on Etsy, so smaller shops, or even bigger shops like Cloth and Paper. And of course, like even like bigger than that, like Happy Planner has a whole bunch of different types of put together planners already for you. Oops, sorry. Put together planners. And you can just go out to your nearest Michael's and grab one and check out the selection there because there is so many. Okay, so that's Discbound for you. And the last kind of planners are ring planners. So these, I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen ring planners and know probably a bit about ring planners, but I think the most confusing thing about ring planners is probably just the sizing. There are a lot of sizes. To give you the high level, the main sizes, the top three, most popular I would say is the A5, which again was that original notebook size that I showed you. That size is the most popular, and it's the most popular in rings as well. There's this personal size, and there is also a pocket size, so even the smaller size. And with ring planners, it has a lot of the same benefits, I would say, as the Discbound, mainly just being that you can move things around really easily. Another benefit is the papers turn extremely easily. The punch is, you know, pretty easy to get a hold of. You can even get like a single hole punch and just punch each hole, which I would not recommend, but you can, and I do that for the A5 size. But you can just, you know, easily get a punch for this. There's a whole bunch of different sizes to try from, you know, beyond just the A5 personal and pocket. You have your A6 size, you have B6 size, you have A5 wide, you have, oh my gosh, FC compact, personal wide. Like, the list is literally endless. There are so many sizes for rings, and that is really good too for those of you guys who aren't sure what size, you know, you want. Or you might have different sizes for different needs. Like I use a little one for on the go, and a bigger one at home. Of course, the previous planner options did have different sizes as well. Don't get me wrong on that, but I just find the ring planners has the most variety. And what else? I guess the other benefits of this is, again, it turns easily. In terms of like the inserts, there is so many choices, right? And that's great for those of you who get bored really easily, and for you who like to print your own inserts and try out a whole bunch of different types of inserts. There's a lot of printables on Etsy and different stores. So there's just so many things that you can try, and it's easy to print at home, easy to cut, and easy to punch. So you don't have to wait to order for something, especially if you are impatient like me. And that was one of the draws of, you know, ring planners for me. And this was even before I owned a, you know, insert shop. Like, one of the things was like, I like to go on, you know, online and like search for different inserts that I could try out each week. There's so many freebies too, right? So that's that for ring planners. And I guess for cons would be that the rings do add weight. Like, even if you don't put anything in it, it adds weight, right? Like, you have this metal thing here, like it's obviously going to add weight. And also the leather covers can get quite expensive. There's definitely a range from, you know, just the Recollections ones, for example, at Michael's, to Moterm, which is like, it's still leather, but, you know, value-wise, I would say it's quite good. Filofax has some okay ones, but in comparison to Discbound and to notebooks, it is more expensive, I would say, on average. So that is something to consider. What else? I think that's pretty much it, guys. I can't even think of any more cons with this. Like, I love ring planning, and I've stayed in this, you know, for a long time on and off. One last thing about ring planners that is a con is, again, like I said, with the discs, you have the loose inserts. So you do need to figure out a system of maintaining the inserts after you're done if you wish to keep them. For me, the easiest way that I find to keep these, especially if you want to keep them like intact together, is just to buy a PVC cover. So that's just one of the clear plastic covers. They're relatively inexpensive. Again, I'll link everything down below. And that would be a good option to just, when you're done, like in your main planner, take it out and put it in that clear planner for storage and put it away. I like that option the best because, especially if you're trying to keep like a planner with dates and you want to keep them consecutive, you obviously want it in another planner, right? Instead of putting it in a box and then the inserts get all jumbled and like you don't know where they are, right? So there's that. And I do not really use ring planners for memory keeping for that reason. It's because I just, you know, you don't get that hearty feel of like a finished book when it's in a ring planner system. But I absolutely love this for planning, and I have been using this for planning, you know, on and off. I'm not going to lie, like I definitely rotate between the systems, but I can see ring planning being in my foreseeable future, you know, every, like, even if I switch to something, it's not more than a month or two. And yeah, so I hope that gave you guys a good overview of the different types of systems. There is quite a lot. It can be very overwhelming, but if you just break it down to those 4 types and then dive into the sizes, I think it makes it more manageable. Again, next week I will show you guys a cover that I think is so versatile because that cover can accommodate ring planners, disc planners, and notebooks, like all in one. So keep an eye out for that. Hit the notification bell if you guys want to be notified, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.